Wow, this is amazing to see you all here. Everyone on Team Lally hasn't been out of this building since about 3 o'clock this afternoon, but I assume it's still very hot out there. There is water at the back of the hall, so please do go and help yourselves if you would like to hydrate yourself during the ceremony. And now I'm going to hand you over to Jenny Beck, co-chair of LAPG.
I'm Jenny Beck, co-chair of the Legal Aid Practitioners Group, which organises this amazing event. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but welcome to the 20th anniversary of the Legal Aid Lawyer of the Year Award. I'd like to give a particularly warm welcome to 58 previous winners who are with us this evening. So as well as being our 20th anniversary, this is also our first in-person ceremony before the pandemic, which makes it even more wonderful to see you all here this evening. Over the last 2 years, Team Lally have done an incredible job of reinventing the Lallies as a truly magical online event, but there's no substitute for being able to gather the legal aid family together, face to face, shoulder to shoulder, as we are this evening. And what a couple of years it's been. Actually, now come to think of it, what a couple of decades it's been for those who saw the legal aid front line. When the Lallies started back in 2003, nobody could have envisaged the scale of the challenges we would have to face. Static or falling fees, drastic reductions in scope, endless, mindless bureaucracy, shameful attacks on our professionalism and integrity. But I'm not going to spend time talking about the problems we face, because you know them as well as I do. Of course you do, because it's what you do day in, day out as a legal aid lawyer. But however bad things are, and they are pretty bad, for 2 decades the Lally Awards have remained a bright spot. A chance for us to acknowledge and celebrate the truth about legal aid work and why the work we do matters. We all know what's wrong with the legal aid scheme. This evening we're here to celebrate all that's right with legal aid, which is where you are. What makes access to justice more than just an empty slogan, and that is definitely worth celebrating. Now, I've talked about our 2 virtual ceremonies, and marvellous though they were, our 2020 and 2021 winners did miss out on getting some in-person Lally love. So, I'd like us to rectify that omission now. Let's hear it for our 2020 and 2021 superstars, in no particular order, but perhaps saving our heartfelt applause until the end. From 2020 we have Cherie Green, Tori Sisher, Siobhan Taylor-Ward, Philip Stanley, couldn't resist, could you? James Stark, Kate Hammond, South West London Law Centre, KRW Law, Simon Mullins, JCWI, Mike McAvenny, and from 2021 we have Kirsty Stewart, Andrew Sperling, Audrey Cheryl Morgan, Matthew Gold, Public Law and Community Care Team, Tessa Buchanan, Chris McCurley, Kathleen Cosgrove, Suzanne O'Connell, MJC Law, North Central Northern Ireland, Adam Hunt, and Alex Goodman. Congratulations to you. Winner or WOW Awards. And when I tell you who the winners are, you'll see that these awards are appropriately named. We're making these WOW Awards to honour an organisation and an individual chosen from amongst all of our stellar former winners who continue to encapsulate everything that the Lallies stand for and everything that the awards were set up to recognise. Now, our first WOW Award goes to a remarkable organisation that was founded in 2005 and won a Lally Award 4 years later in 2009. Its mission then and now is to support or newcomers to the profession. Those who shun higher paid, less bureaucratic areas of law because they feel a calling, and it really is a calling, to dedicate their careers to the social justice sector. At the time of its 2009 award, this organisation was described as embodying hope for the future. It was praised for its energy, commitment and organisational skills. Its committee members were praised for their infectious drive and enthusiasm and their extraordinary capacity to inspire and re-energise longer-standing, understandably battle-weary members of the legal aid profession. 13 years on from that Lally Award, this organisation has not wavered. It continues to give young legal aid lawyers a voice. It continues to campaign. It continues to be an inspiration to us all. The winner is, of course, the young legal aid lawyers. Young legal aid lawyers like to come up on stage. The award on behalf of the young legal aid lawyers. Laura, did you actually think that what we created would ever become such a force?
Not in a million years. Absolutely no way. So get this, could somebody hold this for me? That's where I can co-chair. Thank you very much. So, just a few words about Okay, YLL began as a single-issue campaign. It was born in the back room of an office in Harlesden, where I was doing my training contract way back in 2005. But it was within just weeks of beginning that training contract that I realised the job required two things that law school had not prepared me for. A massive box of tissues, okay, both from my clients, and then for me after they've gone. And secondly, a whole load of extra fire in your belly. Not just to fight for your clients' rights, but to fight the bureaucracy, frustrations and cuts of legal aid. I don't need to tell people in this room anymore about that fight. We do it every day, all of us. And so at that time there was this thing called price competitive tendering. Anyone remember that? Yes. And I just thought, oh, this is just going to be, a one-off thing, but we need to get together and fight against it. And if we get young lawyers together, no one can call us fat cats. We are the future. And I also wanted to find a way to find for new and aspiring legal aid lawyers to contact and support each other. Little did I know, as I just said to Jenny, that this was just the beginning of a fight that was to continue for decades. But even less could I have anticipated that it would be the beginning of a network of kindred spirits. And really, not everyone from YLAO that is in this room is on this stage. I have seen them all, and I see them all the time, everywhere. I see them in law reports, I see them in magazine articles, I see them changing the law and fighting for clients all the time. I think there were about 10 of us in that first meeting at Doughty Street in April 2005. Fast forward 17 years to today, and the group is not only still here, but thriving with 4,500 members up and down the country. And we've had Weilau weddings and babies and a long concerted campaign to rescue legal aid and support each other. And I could not be prouder or more humbled to accept this winner award on behalf of this amazing group. I met with the current co-chairs, Paige and Kaya, just last week, and what incredible, sparkling human beings they are, and what amazing work Weilau continues to do. Apparently I'm not allowed to take the time to list it all because it's too incredible, but I'm going to say one thing, which is they have recently managed to secure funding for 18 social welfare lawyers to practice around and so the recognition of their importance in tonight's award is fantastic. And as a more, shall we say, mature lawyer myself now, I am going to make a call. I call on each and every one of us who are not young legal aid lawyers and new inspiring lawyers to double down on our commitment to support the next generation. I know it's tough times for all of us, but I want each of us to do one additional thing to provide some additional practical or emotional support for new lawyers. I'll start. I will buy a year's subscription to Legal Action magazine for the first young legal aid lawyer who wants it. But each of us, let's do one thing. So, 3 cheers for LAC. They are the future. Sorry, I just said the wrong thing. 3 cheers for young legal aid lawyers. They are the future of legal aid, and it is in great hands.
Do stay on the stage, we do want you here. And you don't have to hide the wine behind your back. So if you just move over just a little bit this way, that would be absolutely fantastic. We're going to move on to the winner of the individual WOW Award. This award is going to a lawyer who won a Lally in 2015 and was made an honorary QC 2 years later. Now, they're not someone that seeks the limelight. In fact, they rather dread the centre of attention, but they're an absolute inspiration to so many of us on so many levels. The work they do is legally complex and emotionally demanding, acting for bereaved families in cases against the state. Hillsborough, Durban, the Stockwell shooting, Grenfell, to name just a few of their high-profile cases. Their work is often politically charged, always hard-fought and of wide significance. They're a role model, champion of aspiring lawyers from poorer backgrounds and known for their warmth and compassion, as well as excellent legal skills. At the 2015 Lally ceremony, they were described as dedicated and kind-hearted, with an ability to work magic in the background and to ensure that things are done well and at all times for the benefit of the client. It's as true in 2022 as it was 7 years ago. And the WOW Award goes to Marcia Willis-Stewart.
What can I say? Can I endorse and really say wow, and just endorse what Laura said about really supporting our up-and-coming legal aid lawyers. Can I say enough respect? Come on, give them respect. To say that at a time when we are facing so many difficulties, austerity, we've had COVID, I want to just take a moment to think about all the people that we've loved and lost, and just have a moment. Currently in Grenfell we are presenting the bereaved, and it is really emotionally charged. I think Elkin's somewhere in the room. I'm sure I spotted him. He's waving over there. I want to say, please everyone support Hillsborough Law. If you don't know what it's about, Elkin and I can tell you. But I also want to say, can we remember all the people who've gone? In Grenfell, at the 5-year anniversary, it was said, we shall remember their names. And I think it's really important to remember all of those who have gone before us. And one last shout, two actually, please, please, please do support our up-and-coming legal aid lawyers. I know it's tough, but we need you. And Laura said she was old. I'm not sure what I'd say about myself. But there's a wonderful Jamaican saying which says, the older the moon, the brighter it shines. And I truly hope to continue shining. I'd like to give the last word to all those who are working with and supporting women fleeing domestic violence. Please, please, please continue. And those of you who don't do that work, continue those colleagues. It's not sexy, but believe me, it's real. Enough respect. Long live legal aid.
So congratulations again to both our WOW winners, individual and team, you well said, you absolutely fantastic. So it's now time to move on to the main part of the evening and the presentation of the 2022 Lally Awards. But before I do, I'd just like to pay tribute to someone who's the very heart and soul of the Lallies. The last 20 years wouldn't have been possible without this special individual. She's already not thanking me for it, but I'd like us all to show our appreciation for Fiona Baldwin, co-founder of the Lallies, and tireless organiser of every Lally Awards campaign. Fiona, you're wonderful, and we're so lucky. Okay, so my final task is to introduce our compere for this evening, who joins us at the Lallies for the first time. Please welcome Channel 4 broadcaster and author, Simeon Brown. Thank you so much for doing the Lallies for us tonight. I understand you've been to the Lallies once before,
That's correct.
but not in 2003, the first one.
No, not the first time, I'm afraid.
I think it's been about 10 years.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me. As Jenny said, I am Simeon Brown, and this is my first time comparing the Legal Aid Lawyer of the Year Award, so please go easy on me. I know how lawyers stay, and I know how lawyers drink. That said, I do encourage rowdiness, so when you see the winners and non-winners come up, please cheer and support your colleagues. But, although I am a newbie to tonight's proceedings, I'm going to introduce somebody who is more like family to many people here. She needs no introduction, but she will get one anyway. May I bring to the stage Baroness Kennedy of the Shores, aka Helena Kennedy QC. Very, very stylish tonight. Who are you wearing? I mean, if you believe members of our government and people who would like to be in number 10, you guys are all enemies of the state. You petty lawyers are guilty of being woke. So, I mean, how do you feel at the moment? Do you feel like with the new kind of potential Prime Minister, do you feel like we could see a new dawn between our advocates and our government, or not?
You do. I don't know that we're going to see very much difference. You've got to remember that many of us here are criminal lawyers. We know about joint enterprise, eating in a bed. In fact, we're looking for the briefs that are going to come pouring out in order to keep us in private practice for, because we're normally used to legal aid fees. But all I can tell you is that it's a great disappointment to see that none of them are sort of really going out as grand protectors of the rule of law. And that should be alarming all of us, because we know that democracy can't work unless you have people who respect law, who know why law matters, and when they pass laws, just might obey them themselves, and not see it as being for the little people. And then when it comes to international law and they sign treaties, you think that they just might abide by them, at least for a couple of years. Anyway, I'm now going to tell you about the Ireland. The Refugee Convention. Do you think that there just might be breaches of that going on as we send people off to Rwanda? I actually think that we should consider buying tickets for dear old Boris and his wife and sending them off to Rwanda. But to be serious about the state of the nation, I mean, I do think that we're in trouble when it comes to the business of people believing that law matters. And law does matter. And we know that law can be used for bad purposes because it can really destroy lives. But we also know that law sometimes can be used for good purposes. But for that, you need lawyers like the ones that are in this room tonight. And so I want us all to recognize, I mean, I have been, and I'm going to embarrassingly admit to this, 50 years practicing as a legal aid lawyer. This audience of really fabulous lawyers. Look at the number of women that are here. When I started at the bar, 6% of those who were going into practice were women. That was how low the numbers were. And look at the fabulous women who are here. And the fabulous men as well. We've got to give them a shout too. And look at the diversity, and there's so many of us who came from backgrounds where families had not known higher education, but have now come into a profession. But we are being denigrated by the people, unfortunately, who are cutting away at legal aid, who do not respect the importance of access to justice for everybody and how fundamental that is. And what we've seen over the last numbers of decades has been the erosion of legal aid and all the other stuff that goes into making a good society, the stuff that supports the probation service, the youth services, the social services, all those things that make for the binding of some of the creation of a mortar that holds societies together. And we've seen that, and we're now being promised even more tax cuts, which will be even less of that, and all of the business that we know makes for a decent society. But fundamental to it is, of course, free media, and also the rule of law and the protection of the rule of law for everybody. And we are at the heart of all of that. And so I really want to remind us all, we have to go home every night and feel proud, even though it's sometimes absolutely hellish and we feel burned out, that what we're doing really is important. We learn about the human rights from our clients. We know the pain of what people experience in our society, and you do the work that makes the difference. And I am proud to be one of you, I have to tell you, I really am. Is this going to be a new dawn? Well, we live in hope. But I think that we're going to have to hope for something bigger than this transition at this moment. I do also think that we're going to be having to fight very hard around this business of getting rid of the Human Rights Act. I mean, that is actually a serious thing. You know, the pretense is that it's not a big bit of business, that they're still going to be in the European Convention of Human Rights. Try telling that to the European Court when you're saying that you're not going to obey what judgments are made, you're not going to actually in any way draw on the wisdom that comes out of that, or an external set of eyes looking at some of the things happening in our own nation. And some of those things really do help advance law. And we know that it's cases often that are being done by people in this room that change law. And so be mindful. This British Bill of Rights is a serious assault on human rights. And it's the business is, you know, we don't want foreign judges making decisions, we want our British judges to be making decisions. It's actually an assault upon the judiciary here too. And it's going to micromanage the judges and try and reduce their discretion and their ability to make decisions that are going to be protective of human rights. It's a reduction of human rights, and we're going to have to fight very hard on that, as well as on the protection of legal aid. So we've got big battles ahead of us. But so I mean, I'm afraid that but we are together.
Thank you very much, Baroness. I mean, as you all know, this is the 20th anniversary of LA Awards, and the first time since 2019 the legal aid community has been able to get together in person to celebrate the life-changing work that you all do. So let's move on to what you're all here for, the trophies. There are 12 awards this evening which will be presented in the following order: Legal Aid Newcomer, Legal Aid Support Staffer, a new award, Disability Rights, Family Aid, Criminal Defence, Legal Aid Barrister, Legal Aid Firm, Regional Legal Aid Firm, Public Law, Social Welfare, Housing, and Outstanding Achievements. Now for our first award of the evening, which is Legal Aid Newcomer, sponsored by Friends of Valley 2022. So you should be able to see to the side on the screen a list of people and organisations who donated to help sponsor this award, which celebrates the work of new entrants into the profession. So please, round of applause for these generous people. So earlier we heard from young legal aid lawyers, and this year's shortlist of 4 in the newcomer category highlights the exceptional talent and commitment that younger members of the profession bring to their work. Our first finalist this evening is Kira Bartlam from Garden Court, North Chambers. Kira is known for the way she fearlessly represents bereaved families when someone has died while in the care of the state. She is praised for her ability to balance empathy with professionalism and resilience. She is an active member of Young Legal Aid Lawyers, Inquest Lawyers Group, and the trustee at Greater Manchester Law Centre, where she was previously a volunteer. The mother of the man who died abroad says, "As a family, we felt Kira fully embraced our son's life. He wasn't just a deceased client, he was a son, a brother, parent, friend. She represented him to the best of her ability and got as near to the truth about his unfortunate death as we could have hoped. A woman whose sister died by suicide describes Kira as calm and empathetic, but also had shark-like reactions when new information emerged at the inquest. This client adds, "I will forever be indebted to Kira. I just hope I was half as good a client as she was a lawyer." My first, and I hope my only experience of an inquest, I couldn't have been in safer hands. That was Kira. The next finalist is Marie Harris from Doughty Street Chambers. Marie is a barrister who does a wide range of housing work for tenants. She started her legal career as a paralegal at South West London Law Centres, and her nomination is enthusiastically supported by her former Law Centre colleagues. Even at the early stage in her career, Marie stood out. Colleagues say she was a brilliant duty advocate, saving dozens of people from eviction. Now at the bar, she continues to do outstanding work. Her clients are often profoundly vulnerable. Their cases are complex and emotionally charged, including allegations from landlords of serious antisocial behaviour. Marie approaches each client with compassion and sensitivity, taking the time to draw out their stories and to understand just what is happening in their lives. One solicitor describes her as a powerhouse of a person and a lawyer. Next up is Rabbi Cobain from Doughty Street Chambers. Rabbi is a criminal defense advocate of 6 years standing who was described as having the ability of someone of 20 years cool, and a star in the making. He has acted in a range of serious criminal cases, including murder, attempted murder, firearms offences, and large-scale drug supply. He also acted in a sophisticated romance scam. He wasn't a scam, by the way. Which involved a high number of elderly victims. One instructing solicitor says Rabbi is a brave, articulate, and a fighter. A QC says he's fearless, confident without being arrogant, and goes the extra mile for his client. Always taking care to explain the evidence and their defense. A barrister opponent says he's at home talking to teenagers accused of serious crimes, as he is to Law Justice of Appeal. And Samuel Flaherty from Osborne's Law. Last but not least, Samuel is a solicitor working in housing, public law, and community care, with a string of successful cases to his name. Colleagues say he is bold, brave, and brilliant. In one case that made media headlines, that of Shadesha White, he overturned Brent Council's unlawful policy of preventing homeless people from bidding for a council house, helping more than 1,000 individuals and families onto the borough's housing list. As a result, it was a noble and complex challenge, described by one barrister as a true public interest case and a spectacular example of how to use judicial review to benefit a wider group of people. 4 very strong finalists. So, the winner of our first award tonight is
Kira.
So Kira, this is your time to go into the spotlight. A few questions for you. Please tell us about your work and how you got into this line of work.
Well, I actually, I don't know if you would mind coming up on stage, but I got surprised earlier because my client is actually here, who nominated me.
It means everything. Receiving the wonderful legal aid that the work that you do, it's just phenomenal. You are very pleased.
Well, thank you for coming up on stage. All I can say is that all our other winners tonight, I don't think you're going to beat that. But no, come back. I mean, what is it like to hear that and know that your work is making a real difference in people's lives?
I mean, for me, it's really, really touching, and I hadn't expected to see Hannah here today, and when I did, I was like, oh crap, I haven't done a speech. Did I need to do a speech? And I really didn't do a speech, so I don't have anything to say, other than, I mean, I, like so many legal aid lawyers, I'm just really, really lucky because our clients are generally pretty fantastic. And even when they're not, like, they are not the worst of us, do you know what I mean? They are people who, we are often told, aren't we, that our clients aren't deserving and that they are benefits grounders and everything else, but that's just simply not the case. They're actually the best of us because they cope so fantastically with the most insane circumstances. And so I just feel really, really privileged.
There's quite a tight order, and I wasn't expecting that at all. So if there's any more surprises, please let me know. But as surprises go, I think that was brilliant. So one round of applause for Kira again. Now, Legal Aid Support Staff is a new award for 2022, and it's aimed at kind of giving recognition to the people working behind the scenes in many different ways to help their organizations keep going despite all the challenges. Notably, in the last few years, the pandemic has been absolutely huge. Their work is often unseen, but without the dedication and professionalism of support staff, legal aid lawyers would not be able to deliver the kind of justice that they do. And it was clear from the number and caliber of nominations for this award just how many lawyers value their support staff colleagues. So, the first nominee is David Neal from Garden Court Chambers. So David is a former barrister turned legal research extraordinaire and is described as a legend and absolute saint. The support David gave his barrister colleagues during the pandemic to keep them on top of constantly changing COVID regulations was, on at least one occasion, literally life-saving. In this case, David's work helped secure the release of a seriously ill prisoner who was not expected to survive if he caught the virus, which was rife in presence. Through his work for the Breaking the Chain project, David provides support to unaccompanied children who fled to the UK from Albania seeking safety. Many of these young people wrote in support of his nomination, and one says, David Neal is so brilliant we call him our Einstein. Another says, he does not make you feel small, or that your life does not matter, which is how I felt before. Another, when you are a child on your own seeking asylum, you do not understand anything. You think there is no hope and that no one cares. Then you hear David talk, and slowly you believe there's a little bit of hope out there. We want to thank David for what he has done for us and for our community of children and young people. We feel safer and less afraid thanks to David Neal. The next is Jenny Malone from the Community Law Partnership. Known to her colleagues as Power Jen, Jenny joined at the outset of CLP in 1999 and has been at the heart of the firm ever since. She's performed multiple roles over the years, from secretary, typist, practice manager, and now finance manager. When the firm first opened its doors, it was Jenny who organised everything. Getting the phones installed, the stationery ordered, the furniture bought, she set up CLP's first accounts and case management systems, and always ensured its accounts are in order. It was Jenny's tight financial control which allowed CLP to weather the COVID storm, when its income from legal aid dropped by £20,000 a month as evictions were halted. A colleague said Jenny's spreadsheet saved us. Every penny was accounted for, and we could make reasonable cash flow forecasts which were invaluable. She adds, no one outside the firm knows Jenny, but in many ways she's the most important person within CLP, which we really could not have come so far without her. She's truly an unsung hero in the debate. The next nominee is Leslie Kennedy Neal from Wilson Solicitors. Practice Secretary Leslie has been the heart and soul of Wilson's for 32 years. She was there when Wilson's moved from typewriters to computers. And when the firm went paperless overnight due to the pandemic, she's described as the glue that holds the firm together. Managing its secretarial reception and administrative staff and ensuring everything runs smoothly. Leslie is an exceptional people person. She is warm, empathetic, and has much needed emotional intelligence. She is a rock of support to the managing partner and a kind listening ear to younger members of the team. One colleague says, Leslie has a way about her that people gravitate to. She's compassionate and professional, a remarkable practice secretary, and she brings her calm steadiness to everything she does. The list of plaudits goes on and on. And I think our final nominee is Simon McGlynn from Hammersmith and Fulham Law Centre. I'm just going to read an extract from Simone's nomination. At the start of every law centre journey is Simone. As our receptionist, she greets each client as they enter our waiting room for the first time, or when they call us on the phone or email to make their initial inquiry. Putting clients at their ease, she does a tremendously difficult job of talking to people who are often distressed, anxious, or frustrated. Although her official title is receptionist, her work encompasses so much more than just that. She is our archivist, office manager, events organizer, star baker, very important, volunteer coordinator, manager of our family law and benefit form filling clinics, and keeper of all our stats. The legal aid lawyers at our Neal Centre are important, but no one is more important than Simone. So these nominations give a real sense of the enormous respect and warmth that legal aid lawyers feel towards their support staff and how they recognise the invaluable role that support staff play. For the Lally judges, choosing one out of such a strong and deserving field felt like an impossible task. Now, choosing a winner is never easy, but this time it was literally impossible, which is why the Lally judges did something that we may never see again. So what you're about to see, once you see it, and so for the first time, they have chosen 2 winners of this award. Ooh, yeah, you see it now. I won't guess the team. Now, before I announce the names of the 2 winners, I want to make a point of congratulating the 2 runners-up. You are very worthy finalists, but unfortunately, making all 4 of you winners really would have been a bit too much. So, the joint winners of the inaugural Legal Aid Support Staffer Award will be I think Helena and I are going to read a name each.
David Neal.
And
Leslie Kennedy Neal.
picture next. Albanian children. What were the specific needs that you found that they needed?
Well, 5 years ago, most Albanian young people were having their asylum claims refused. Many were being certified, so they didn't have a right of appeal in country. They were facing long delays. Many had very poor legal representation. Many were being pushed underground, being re-trafficked or exploited. They were in exploitative living situations. Many were homeless or sofa surfing. And there was a real lack of hope. And actually the organisation that we've collaborated with, Shpresa, means hope in Albanian. And over the last 5 years, thanks to the tireless work of Esme from Islington Law Centre, who's here tonight, and the Albanian young people themselves, the immigration thanks to the tireless work of a lot of different people on this project, barristers from Garden Court, solicitors at Islington Law Centre, and Esme, who is the glue that holds it all together, we've turned it around, and we're actually now seeing a much higher grant rate for Albanian asylum-seeking children and young people. We're seeing very few certifications. We're seeing a lot of people who've been out of the system for years getting fresh rights of appeal and getting back into safe accommodation and not being exploited. And it's all been, it's a whole team of people who've approached this work from different angles. But one of the things I did was I went through and crunched the Home Office country policy and information notes, pointed out why they were wrong, I want to pay tribute to Esme, without whom the whole project would never have happened, and also to the young people themselves who are brave and brilliant, and two of them are here tonight, and there's many others who are not here. The young people have taught me, and they've taught a lot of lawyers, that actually, you should be taking Albanian cases. You should not be merits failing these cases. You should be winning them, because they do have genuine merits.
Right, that's right. Thank you very much. I understand that you are a lifer at Wilson. So, I mean, if you're in a contract you can't get out of, just wait, and I think I can get the lawyer. But what's kept you at Wilson for so long?
The people. They're all fantastic. I can't compete with them. They're all just wonderful. They do wonderful work, and I just support them, really. That's all. So they're the people that deserve this.
No, you deserve it. Can you get another round of applause for these two winners tonight? And on to our third award of the evening for disability rights, sponsored by Bidwell Henderson. First finalist, nominee, is Liz Davis from Owen Mitchell. So Liz qualified as a solicitor just last year, but is already making her mark in the field of court of protection and community care cases. Earlier this year, she won a potentially life-saving ruling in the case of a 17-year-old William Burton, who has a rare kidney disease. William doctors had decided it was not in his best interests to have a kidney transplant, due in part to his autism and learning difficulties. Instead, they proposed a program of palliative care. To William's mum, Amy McLennan, that felt like a death sentence. And as she was determined, she fought for her son. Thanks to Liz and the rest of her legal team, the case was successful. And the court ruled it was in William's best interest to have a transplant. Amy praises Liz's dedication, professionalism, and passion. the QC in the case says, the stakes could not have been higher for the clients, and Liz worked incredibly hard and did an amazing job. Now the next finalist is Anna Moore from Lead Day. Now Anna also does court and protection work along with inquests, high court damages claims, and judicial reviews. She is described as a legal aid legend, and is known for her success in winning damages for children who were failed by social services and left to suffer abuse and neglect. Her work she does is legally complicated, fast-paced, and emotionally demanding. Anna's inquest clients include the family of Sammy Alban Stanley, a 13-year-old boy with autism and Prader-Willi syndrome who died after a fall during the pandemic lockdown. The coroner ruled failures by the local authority and mental health teams contributed to his death. Sammy's mum Patricia says Annie was her rock, adding, "She's been patient beyond words to get Sammy's case heard." A barrister praises Anna's ability to build rapport with bereaved families to ensure their voice is heard clearly and powerfully through proceedings. Next is Sarah Griffiths-Jones from Reed Solicitors. Sarah acts for clients who are detained under the Mental Health Act and is head of her Cardiff firm's Court of Protection practice. She is described as an outstanding legal aid lawyer with an incredible ability to form a relationship of trust with clients, matched only by her tireless defense of their rights and wishes. Her clients are some of the most vulnerable members of society, people without the mental capacity to make their own decisions, sometimes due to illness or accident. Many of her clients are in hospitals or care homes, and so bore the brunt of the COVID-19 pandemic. Sarah also acts for mentally disordered clients accused of serious criminal offences such as murder, arson, or sexual assault, whose cases are dealt with under the Mental Health Act. Now, on to the winner. The winner of the 2022 Lally Award for Disability Rights is
Anna Moore.
So you are a legal aid legend.
That's not how I describe myself.
Well, it is now. You can put that in every bio that you want to.
That's on it. I've had some fantastic clients, fantastic colleagues. Dealt with some really heartbreaking inquests in the past few years, but couldn't have done it without the incredible clients who are at the centre of it. And also my council team, Angela, who's here today, Paul Clark. And so it's a team effort, but
Well, congratulations.
thank you.
Now, on to Family Legal Aid, sponsored by Resolution. The first finalist is Alison Leafley from Ireland. Alison specialises in children's cases and has a particular interest in domestic abuse, forced marriage, female genital mutilation, and so-called honour-based violence. She also acts in complex non-accidental injury cases, including fabricated illness. Colleagues describe her as an inspiration and say that she represents all that is best in what we do, day in, day out, the family legal aid. A former trainee of Alison says she is committed to training and nurturing the next generation of legal aid lawyers as she is to her clients, which is saying something. Alongside a very heavy caseload, Alison somehow finds time to learn the languages spoken by some of her clients, including Turkish and solidity as a way of building good communication and trust. Also nominated is Deborah Picos from TV Editors. Deborah has been a family lawyer for 22 years, specializing in public law children work, and has a string of reported cases to her name. She does most of her own advocacy and is chair of the Solicitors Association of Higher Court Advocates. Deborah is also a member of the local Family Justice Board in East London and is taking a leading role in developing a respect charter to help protect the mental well-being of family legal aid lawyers. At QC, he worked as a joint advocate with her on a case which involved assessing whether children who were selectively mute had capacity to take part in the proceedings. Says, her commitment and diligence is a thing of wonder. She seems to do the work of several committed practitioners in a single case. Third is Grace Bradley from the Family Law Company. Many of Grace's cases have an international element and may also include domestic violence and immigration issues. In one recent case, she acted for a mother of 3 who spoke no English and had been subject to years of control, torture, and rape from her partner. When the mother fled from the family home, the father wanted an urgent order for the return of the children. The mother was unrepresented at the hearing, and the documents were not translated for her. By the time Grace became involved, the children were battling with their father, who was accusing their mum of neglect. Grace swung into action, taking statements and filling detailed evidence of the abuse, including how her client's teeth had rotted as her ex-partner stopped her having dental treatment. After a 3-day hearing, the judge ruled the children should live with their mum. As one colleague says, she was resolutely determined to find the truth behind allegations, get justice for clients in desperate need, and give voice to those who are otherwise voiceless in legal proceedings. So those are all our finalists, and the winner of the 2022 award for the Family Legal Aid is
Grace Bradley.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Say cheese now. That case that I was reading, bro, it sounded particularly horrific.
It was particularly horrific in the grand scheme of horrific cases that we do as all lawyers in this room.
I was particularly taken to how widespread do you think it is right now that a lot of people are quickly going without understanding what is happening with the speak language? How widespread is this?
Oh, I think it's incredibly widespread, and that case highlighted to me just how someone like that is completely voiceless, and that legal aid does give them a voice. So I want to give a big shout out to you all in this room, because I know every one of you gives a voice to people that lady, and it meant so much to me. But I know every one of you are doing the same for your clients day in, day out, and all of you deserve this. And my TV boys this morning, they told me, "Mummy, you're going to get a rosette this evening."
Now on to our 5th award, and we're making good pace, I think. So this is Criminal Defence, sponsored by Doughty Street Chambers. First up is Adila Khan from Edwardsdale, Bradshaw and West. Now Adila is a dedicated criminal defence lawyer, a duty solicitor, and has a particular interest in protest work, and has conducted successful appeals for members of Extinction Rebellion. Her practice includes the most serious offences, including a recent multi-handed murder trial, and before that, a sensitive serial blackmail and robbery case, with allegations that the victims were targeted due to their sexual orientation. Through her work as Vice President of the London Criminal Court Solicitors Association, Adila has been at the forefront of campaigning for increasing in funding for lawyers in the criminal justice system. Second finalist is Laura O'Brien from Hodge Jones. Now, Laura's recent case clients include two of the so-called Colston Four, who were acquitted of criminal damage over the toppling of the Edward Colston statue in Bristol in June 2020. Rhiannon Graham, one of the four, says Laura worked extraordinarily hard on the case and that her demeanour is wonderfully comforting for those in court for the first time. As well as protest work, Laura is known for representing children and young adults and acting for defendants with complex psychiatric needs. A barrister instructed by Laura in the youth court says, in every case, no matter how small, she demonstrates an energy to defend and protect her client's rights. She strives to ensure the young person will still have a future once the offending has subsided and they have matured into adulthood. Our third finalist in this category is Seema Dosaj from Barrister. Seema is managing partner at Barrister Law, the firm she set up in 2017, and she runs its criminal law department. Her caseload ranges from murder, firearms offences, kidnap, rape, and impersonating a police officer. Recent clients include Maurice Robinson, the lorry driver who faced multiple manslaughter and other charges after 39 Vietnamese people were found suffocated to death in the back of his lorry. It was a shocking case, and one which attracted massive media attention, but Seema did not flinch from doing her duty to her clients. So, the winner of the 2022 Lally Award for Criminal Defence is
Laura O'Brien.
Now, the Colston case was absolutely huge, and I covered that in detail, and I also, but and I also dedicated a whole program on Channel 4 based in Bristol because of it. So it really did make history. When you were working that case, you really get a sense that you were part of history. What was that like? I got a whole
sorry. I like to be in control.
Without question, it's easy to forget the clients that are behind the case, and Rhiannon Graham, who was my main client, was a privilege to represent, and it would be remiss of me not to give a shout out to counsel in that case, Vinna Nigrola, who is honestly the fiercest brain that I have ever encountered. But I was actually at Wood Green Custody Centre when the jury verdict came in, because my job isn't just about headlines and stuff that makes history, it's also about stuff that happens in the background. And I'm not going to lie, I shed a tear when the news came in, because it meant so much. It's everything that drives you to become a lefty lawyer. It is about showing that there is good in the world, and that actually that we are changing. It shined a light on how much we have to do, but also that there are people out there willing to do it. I think doing this job is a privilege, and I know that there are so many people out there who don't get to choose their vocation because there are so many barriers out there, gender, race, class, and so to be able to be involved in that case truly, truly is a privilege. But long may we fight for what's right, fight for access to justice, and fight for a better system.
That case was incredibly politically sensitive, and it was then the outcome was then referred by the Attorney General for review
my harshest critic and my biggest fan is my 4-year-old daughter, who recently told me that I am just a bum wiper. She also gave that title to my husband, so I'm not quite sure how she thinks we pay the bills because we don't get paid for the privilege. But what better than a lally to prove a 4-year-old wrong?
And now for those desperate for a further drink, we are at the halfway point of the night. So, on to the next award, which is Legal Aid Barrister, sponsored by the Bar Council. Our first finalist is Amin Al-Ghadi from One Cup Court. Colleagues kind of like it a little bit. But Amin is a family barrister and thought to be the first British Yemeni legal aid barrister in England and Wales. He has represented everyone from children to convicted terrorists, paedophiles, and is praised for his deep sense of social responsibility and ability to ensure that the most vulnerable, pilloried, and marginalised clients are treated with compassion and fairness. His nomination is supported by colleagues, clients, and even judges. One judge says, if I were a parent fighting for my children, I would want to have Amin representing them. Another says, Amin understands that public law cases are uniquely frightening for parents who are at risk of losing their children, and he always represents his clients with unwavering energy and robustness, regardless of the allegations against them or weight of evidence. Next up is Grania Mellon. Grania is Vice Chair of the Bar's Human Rights Committee and represents children and young people in education, community care, court protection and immigration law. Many of her young clients have been failed by state bodies and may be living in inadequate homes without the care or support that they need. She also acts for unaccompanied children who are seeking asylum and for victims of trafficking. Grania has had an incredible string of successes over the last year, including obtaining multiple orders against a local authority for a serious breach of its duties towards a vulnerable 15-year-old, a case that will have wider impact. She's also won damages for a 6-year-old who was sexually abused by a classmate, and one of the first peer-on-peer abuse claims under the Human Rights Act to reach the courts. A young woman who's granted a student loan after Grania brought a legal challenge says, as a result of her hard work and dedication, I was able to gain funding for my physics degree and continue my education. Next is Oliver Lewis from Doughty Street Chambers. Oliver has dedicated his legal career to protecting the rights of disabled people. His work focuses on mental health and mental capacity, pressing for proper standards of care in health and welfare in the court of protection. He also seeks to hold authority to account at inquests following deaths in prison, hospital, or in the community. Oliver acted for the parents of Tony Hickmott, a man with learning disabilities who was detained under the Mental Health Act, and his parents have been battling for 2 decades to have him released. The family of another young man with autism and learning disabilities say Oliver has been a massive support in extremely distressing and trying circumstances. Another supporter says Oliver is a powerhouse in the field of extending and enforcing disability rights. 3 excellent candidates for this award. But the Legal Aid Barrister of the Year can only have one winner, and that winner will be
Amin Delgado. goodness lawyer, man and boy.
The thing is, I just knew it was going to go up over there, you know. I just knew. So you have made history tonight. I guess what I'm keen to understand is what has been your kind of history or your journey rather to the law? You come from like, you know, privileged background, like, you know, what's been your path? Has it been quite easy, straightforward? Hey.
No, it's not been easy, but I imagine many people have difficulties and obstacles of their own. And,
what's been your journey?
Well, I don't know where you want me to start.
No, it's not thinking. I mean, you just made history. First British Yemeni person to win this award. Come on, we want to hear your journey.
Well, I think, as I say, adversity.
All right, if I give you the mic, can you give us a story?
All right.
Okay. You've got a power now.
Well, growing up in a predominantly working class area, high crime of Liverpool, you know, I only know too frequently how the law operates when it's not enforced, and the way it wants to be enforced. So being stopped by police growing up was a regular occurrence for me, and it's only on, you know, working with organisations, learning more about your rights, that you become, you know, you learn that that's not the way society ought to be. That's not the power that ought to be vested in the police, and you need to challenge that power or sense of authority and take the fight. So through a background of those kinds of experiences, it really motivated me to give back and support people in very similar circumstances.
So if you're a Londoner, you let the scouts just go off like this. You need some more London energy. Okay. The next award, number 7, is for legal aid firm or not-for-profit agency sponsored by the Law Society. Okay. The first nominee / finalist is MTC Solicitors. Based in North London, MTC is a niche firm with a sizable reputation and prides itself on its close ties to its local community. Its work includes criminal defence, prison law, and immigration and asylum work. Its defence caseload includes the most serious offences, such as gang-related crimes, murder, crimes of violence, and large-scale drug dealing. Many of its clients are young and black, and its lawyers are passionate about achieving the best outcome for their clients and raising modern slavery defences where these are at play. MTC was one of the first firms to develop expertise in defending drill and grime artists, where song lyrics are cited as evidence of criminality. Next finalist is UCL's Integrated Legal Advice Clinic. ILAC, as it's known to its friends, is thought to be the first university legal advice clinic to hold contracts in legal aid work. Run by Rachel Knowles, this pioneering legal clinic started life in 2016 as a pop-up pro bono service in an East London GP surgery. 6 years later, it has its own premises and legal aid contracts in community care and housing law. Its team is made up of 2 qualified solicitors, a trainee who is due to qualify this year, a welfare benefits advisor, 2 paralegals, and a clinic coordinator. Its work is supported by law students at UCL who can volunteer at the clinic or do a placement as part of their final year studies. Since being awarded its legal aid contracts in 2018, ILAC has seen over 400 clients and been supported by 155 student volunteers. One client says, "The way you helped me made the difference between committing suicide and getting my A-levels. Thank you so much." years, and it continued to provide a vital service to Londoners, offering debt, housing, and welfare benefits advice. It aimed to reduce poverty and disadvantage by maximising its clients' incomes, reducing debt and homelessness, improving housing conditions, and challenging discrimination. The centre takes on 3,500 new clients each year. Over 40% of its clients have a disability or a long-term health condition. 60% of them are black or from a minority ethnic background. A client with a disabled husband said the centre was a lifesaver. I don't know what I would have done without you, my mother says. Thank you for everything you're doing for me and my daughter. I feel like you are my friend. Now, these are three very different organisations all doing great work and give a clear picture of just how wide-ranging this category is. Sadly, there can only be one. And so the winner of the 2022 Lally Award for Legal Aid Firm / Not-for-Profit Agency is
University College London.
So who will be speaking? I mean, I didn't even know that universities had anything like this. What's the origin story?
I was the lucky beneficiary of sort of public legal services route of the legal schools many moons ago, which is not actually 2 hours. And that sadly got decimated along with lots of other things. And I really wanted to create a place where we could foster new legal aid lawyers at an earlier stage in their career and pull them away from the dark side of corporate.
I can tell you, at UCL there's a lot of dark forces. That is the truth. But do you think this is something that we can see replicated? Is your model something that can scale up?
I'm hoping so. I'm certainly trying to encourage other people to do it, and there's no reason why it shouldn't. I would encourage legal aid lawyers who fancy a change that legal aid clinics are a nice place, university clinics are a nice place with no chargeable hours. Come join us.
Thank you very much. Now on to regional legal aid firms or not-for-profit agencies sponsored by the Legal Education Foundation. First nominee is Ashford Solicitors. Based in Manchester and Blackburn, Ashford Solicitors is a specialist immigration firm acting for victims of trafficking, modern slavery and domestic violence. It is a relative newcomer to legal aid, being awarded its legal aid contract in 2018. But from the outset, it has emphasised the vital importance of client care. The firm works closely with local charities and voluntary organisations to ensure clients have a wraparound support. In recognition of its determination to put clients at the heart of everything it does, it has been awarded victim-friendly organisation status by its local branch of victim support. A charity supporting trafficking survivors says Ashford stands out because of its enthusiasm for working collaboratively in its responsiveness. The next nominee is Johnson Ashton Solicitors. This Leicester-based firm is known for its expertise in criminal defence, family and childcare law, and many of its lawyers are nationally recognized for their expertise. Its criminal team handles a whole gamut of cases, including terrorism, murder and drugs-related offences. 90% of its advocacy is done in-house. Its family team have strong links to local women's support groups and domestic violence charities. One supporter says, Johnson Astor's has helped thousands of parents retain their children. It has represented many, many children so their voices could be heard, and helped innumerable people avoid conviction and possible custodial sentence. And our final finalist is David Gray Solicitors. Newcastle-based David Gray has 82 staff, including 30 solicitors, and is particularly known for its family work. Its 4 family partners are all leaders in their field: Lucy Mead, Leslie Monkhouse, Mary Shaw, and Elspeth Thompson. The firm also does criminal defence, mental health, and quarter protection legal aid work. Although it now does a significant amount of privately funded work, legal aid and the commitment to helping the vulnerable remains at the heart of this company. One barrister says its dedication to vulnerable family clients is unmatched in the northeast of England. So it's a three-way contest between Manchester, Leicester, and Newcastle. And so the winner, the 2022 Regional Legal Aid firm.
It goes to Leicester, Johnson Astor.
Oh, good? Okay, great. So I think this is the first time I've seen Leicester win a trophy since 2015, is it? But so who's going to talk? And can you tell us a bit about your firm's work?
So my 3-year-old turns 30 this year, and that's we set up as a single parent with a 3-year-old. We're managed, we're an all-female management, 8 members. One man, he's great though. We have a great team, we have brilliant clients. It's been a long journey, it's been a difficult journey. The firm's changed a lot, but we stayed true to our original goals, which was to manage our firm differently and to give voice to vulnerable clients, whether they need help because they've been arrested, because their children have been taken off them, or because they're victims of domestic violence. So, yeah, thank you. We're absolutely overwhelmed. I wasn't expecting this at all, so it's a really lovely acknowledgement. Thank you very much.
And now our 9th award of the evening for public law, sponsored by One Pump Court. The first nominee is Kaiser Sheikh from Quorum Children's Legal Centre. Kaiser is head of education and of law at Quorum and has worked in this field for over a decade. He built Quorum's education practice from 4 caseworkers to its current level of 12 across 3 offices. Kaiser acts for clients with a range of disabilities and special educational needs such as autism, ADHD, speech and language difficulties, mental health problems, and profound learning difficulties. Many of his young clients will be refusing to go to school, feeling suicidal, self-harming, or isolated from their peers. He's described as fearless in his approach and measured but fierce negotiator. A former client from 6 years earlier recently got in touch with his GCSE results, and the note saying, thanks to Kay's help, he'd been able to stay at mainstream school and was now doing well at college. As well as his work with individuals, Kay has also helped shape educational law by bringing cases of wide significance, including over the registering of disability discrimination claims. Our next finalist is Jamie Bell from Duncan Lewis. Jamie works primarily in immigration and asylum law and has an impressive record of success. Much of his work is urgent, acting for people facing immediate removal from the UK. He acted for witnesses in the Brook House inquiry into mistreatment of people detained at the Immigration Removal Centre. His cases last year included CSM, which found the Home Office failing to provide proper care to people in immigration detention with HIV. In the case of Lowell, he successfully challenged the Home Secretary's attempts to remove from the UK a potential witness to a death in detention. Jamie also acts as a trainer and a mentor, and is known for being approachable and knowledgeable. He is described as ambitious, motivated, and persistent on the behalf of his clients. And lastly, we have Rebecca Ives from Boston. Rebecca is an immigration solicitor with a special interest in protecting the rights of migrant children and young people, as well as vulnerable adults. She challenged the Home Office over its use of a hostel in Brighton to house unaccompanied migrant children, leaving them without access to social services or support. She also challenged the Home Office over housing adult asylum seekers in a hostel which had been converted from a courtroom, complete with prison cells, themed bedrooms. A man who had been detained in his home country before fleeing to the UK said sleeping in a room with bars left him feeling afraid and unable to cope. Without Rebecca's help, or rather with Rebecca's help, he was moved to a place where he now feels safe. Writing in support of Rebecca's nomination, he said, "Rebecca is a brilliant lawyer who fought hard for my case. She is a fantastic human, and I think she deserves more than an award." And so, the winner of the 2022 Lally Award for Public Law goes to
Kaiser Sheikh.
I noticed you at the back, you didn't want to come up for a second there. You were a bit hesitant. You're a winner now. You're a winner. What were some of the challenges that you found, especially working with young people during the pandemic?
A lot of children we help and young people as well, they have a lot of mental health difficulties, and obviously being isolated at home, it just makes it worse. And often local authorities, due to budgetary issues or whatever reasons they give in the letters, they often quite neglect these children. So just to help them and sort of get them back on track, especially those who have been written off, is a huge privilege for me. And I just want to give a big shout out to my dad. And also to my late mother, may God rest in peace. We came here from Pakistan when I was just 1 year old, and To be standing here before all you amazing people is a huge honour. So congratulations to you.
And our 10th award of the evening is in social welfare law, sponsored by DG Law. The first nominee is Andrew Bomer from Miles. Andrew is a court of protection lawyer with expertise in the crossover between housing, community care, and mental capacity law. He is described as a rock and inspiration to colleagues. He's always generous with his time and willing to share his expertise, giving colleagues the confidence to take on more cases for clients who lack mental capacity. He is described as treating each case with such care, thoroughness, and commitment, applying his encyclopedic knowledge of the law to find carefully crafted solutions for extremely vulnerable clients. The next nominee is Chris McKendry from Golden. Chris is nominated for his work involving the Special Immigration Appeals Commission, a uniquely complex and challenging area of immigration law. CIAC cases often involve closed periods which neither the client or the lawyer can attend. Chris acted for a young mother of 3, known only as U3, who was stripped of her British citizenship after travelling to Syria. One of her children needed urgent medical treatment, and Chris's efforts to get the family to safety are described as superhuman. At one point, he was ready to go to the Turkey-Syria border to personally oversee the transfer of the seriously ill child. A colleague says it is impossible to describe just how stressful these appeals are for the solicitor, partly due to the stress of the appellants who are accused of posing a threat to the UK's national security, and due in large part to the reality of preparing cases which involve closed material. And lastly, Claire Jennings from Gold Jennings. Claire and her colleagues won last year's Legal 18 award, when the firm was still known as Matthews Gold & Cole, and she had another incredible year. Claire was instrumental in the successful challenge to the Home Office's practice of seizing asylum seekers' mobile phones, and she secured the transfer of dozens of vulnerable people from Napier Barracks. Claire is praised for her leadership and unwavering work ethic, working tirelessly to prepare her clients' cases to ensure they are moved to safe accommodation. A barrister says she inspires passion in those she works with and never lets up on a cause. Another praises her ability to stay focused on winning strategic change, while still keeping in mind the best interests of her highly vulnerable clients. So, that was quite a lineup, I have to say. So, the winner of the 2022 Lally Award for Social Welfare Law is...
And this really was difficult. It was Chris McKendry.
Reading the details of your work, it's incredibly politicized and sensitive, and even covering some of these kind of cases, it's super tricky. How did you even manage to do this work without even breaking the law yourself?
That's a very good question. I'm not sure successfully how to put it. This is very cheesy, but my wife was very supportive of me. She homeschooled 3 horrible children during the pandemic whilst I worked, so that's part of it. Lots of help from Ed, who a huge support as well. So it's a good team and so.
Particularly in the case you just heard just now, what were some of the restrictions that you were working under and the challenges, and what was it like to work under that too?
Yeah, there was lots going on in that case. You don't know the case against your clients. You have the gist of it, but it's very sad. And so as a result, you have to, you can sit back with it, although I couldn't sit down with my client, she was considering it, but you have to ask her, okay, so tell me everything you've ever done in your life, and we'll work out whether anything's dodgy. And maybe they'll have that against you. So, it's a lot of work, and it's you're basically lose. So it's
So how did you win?
Well, I mean, I didn't win. If you're on the case, no, we didn't win. But we are going to the Court of Appeal, so.
So thanks a lot for coming up today.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
And on to our penultimate award. So we're close. So if we're getting restless, don't worry, we're almost there. So this is for housing law, sponsored by Garden Court Chambers. The first nominee is Hannah Khalifa from Mary Ward. We were hearing earlier about the work of the Mary Ward Legal Centre, and I'm now going to tell you about Hannah, one of their stellar housing lawyers. Hannah advises in homelessness, possession, and disrepair cases. She's particularly adept at working with tenants who are facing eviction due to allegations of antisocial behaviour, where that behaviour is linked to unmet mental health needs. She's an experienced litigator and also advises clients on the housing duty scheme. When needed, she readily takes on the legal aid agencies fearlessly as she takes on her opponents. A housing client with dyslexia and dyspraxia has this to say about Hannah. I had a breakdown and Hannah swooped in. When I am stressed, I get nosebleeds. The first time I came in to see Hannah, I literally sat down and had a nosebleed. Hannah did not freak out. She helped to calm me down and just handled it like a pro. From there, I knew we'd be fine. The next nominee is Lisa Haythorne from Derbyshire. Lisa has been a legal aid solicitor for 25 years, specialising in housing law, and she also does discrimination law. Lisa is president of Sheffield and District Law Society. As well as running her own caseload, she also manages the Law Centre for Discrimination in Housing and Legal Aid. A barrister who works with Lisa says, all of us know that working with vulnerable and excluded clients is about doing much more than just the law. Lisa works hard to support and sustain clients with both her knowledge and her empathy, hard work and determination. She is a committed, passionate legal aid lawyer who provides a voice for powerless and marginalized people. The next nominee is Raja Sultana. Raja acts for vulnerable clients on possession, homelessness, and disrepair cases. She grew up in East London, so not too far from here, and remains dedicated to helping the local community who live in some of the most overcrowded and unsuitable conditions in Britain. Many of her clients have complex mental and physical needs. Others have a history of modern slavery, or are survivors of war or have been street homeless. They may have limited English and lack IT skills. As a Bengali speaker, Raja is able to help many people who are marginalized and who without her help would have struggled to have access to justice. Colleagues describe her as a well-loved, massively respected housing lawyer. She has an ability to turn around apparently dead-end cases and get a good result for clients, and is praised for being a superb grassroots housing lawyer. Uninterested in the spotlight, who puts her heart and soul into every single case. So, the winner of the 2022 Value Award for Housing goes to, I think you might go off now.
Radia.
We are both under the spotlight. So this is your baby. Tell us a bit about your work and your approach to your work.
It's been a tough journey, but I started with Eve, who's here today, who opened the door for me to become a lawyer. And then I joined Mars and Partners since I've come this far. It's been hard, but my work colleagues, my family, and my 8-year-old daughter has made it possible. So thank you, everyone.
What are some of the challenges now facing people in similar situations to him? No pressure.
It's been tough, but we're going to get through it.
Okay. But thank you for coming on the stage. Congratulations on your award. And a round of applause again to Ryan. So we're here. We're now outstanding achievements sponsored by Matrix Chambers. For this award, we're going to be sticking with the theme of housing law. As many of you will know, the Outstanding Achievement Award is the highest accolade the landing judges can give, and it is a little different from all the other awards. There is no shortlist, and we do not accept nominations for this award. This year's winner is a housing barrister who is described as having spent 30 years living and breathing housing law. Their CV reads like a who's who of homelessness cases. They have argued housing cases in every level of court in the UK and Europe, and they have an incredible record of taking notable points and winning. They have been at the forefront of developing housing law through the use of the Human Rights Act, Quality Act, and Public Sector Equality Duty. Their work has been instrumental in making housing law more humane, winning better protections for tenants and the homeless, especially for those who are acutely vulnerable. Their cases include the 2015 landmark vulnerability case of Carnu, the 2016 case of Stevenson, where the Court of Appeal set aside a possession order against the man with paranoid schizophrenia who was facing eviction for antisocial behaviour. The Stevenson case remains the principal authority when a tenant's disability is part of the reason they are facing eviction. More recently, in the case of Noor, the High Court ruled a local authority's housing allocation policy discriminated against families with disabled adult children. Even more recently, just a few weeks ago, in the case of El Khudai, the Court of Appeal ruled that local authorities are under an immediate and unqualified duty to provide accommodation to homeless people in priority need. Alongside bringing leading cases like these, our Outstanding Achievement winner continued to do cold-based housing work, county court appeals, injunction applications. One instructing solicitor says of our winner, they clearly love the client contact and having the ability to shape a case from the beginning. Our winner is described as having a gift for seeing potential legal arguments that other lawyers haven't spotted. as a special orator who can bring a kind of electricity to a room, as someone who has the ability to make you question settled legal norms, like shaking a snow globe. One solicitor says they are revered in housing law circles for their knack of firing the imagination about creative ways the law can be used. Another recalls how winner's composure when in the eye of a litigation storm, saying they were calm and measured to the core, quietly winning the battle with little fuss, while the rest of us were busy ranting and raving about unacceptable behaviours. As well as being a fine advocate, they are described as a fine human being, humble, kind, and supportive of their colleagues. We are also told that they preferred when celebrating after their many legal wins with a nice cup of tea and a piece of Sicilian cheesecake. The winner of the 2022 award for outstanding achievement is exactly the kind of cold-faced, unsung, legal aid lawyer the Lallies were set up 20 years ago to celebrate. And the winner is?
The winner is a truly outstanding lawyer. Groundbreaking work. Zia Nafi.
Winner, we are giving you the full power of the mic.
Okay, I'll just put this down. Well, it's funny hearing yourself described like that because you think most of that is not true actually. Because what you have is incremental development as you go along. Now I was tipped off about this, so I have made a few notes. And I was going to start with a joke in a song, and my daughter said absolutely not. But I will give the first line, and I think it was John Lennon who said, a legal aid lawyer is something to be. Or something close to that. I would, and then he might have gone on to say that they do sterling work for a miserly fee. No, I better stop now, because I was told I couldn't do doggerel verse, so I won't. But I am in equal parts honoured and humbled and bemused by this award. I think all three are true. I'm honoured because when I look at the quality of legal aid lawyers that we have in this room tonight, to be honoured by my own is a really, it's deeply important to me. And it's humbling for that very reason as well. And it's bemusing as well, because actually I'm just doing my job. I'm just, doing my work one case at a time. And I don't know how the 30 years happened. I remember when I started at the bar in 1992, I thought to myself, well, if I can manage 5 years, someone had told me that if you can manage at the bar for 5 years, you'll probably just about be able to manage. And I thought, right, 5 years is what's going to be the... And then you get to 5 years, Paul, and you realise you know nothing at all, or very little. You think, okay, the next 5. So I've always measured myself in sort of 5 years, and actually, I still am doing. I'm still somewhere in there, I think, right, if I can make another 5 years, then that'll be all right. I'll be secure. I've been struck by how many people have used the word privilege tonight. Because that was the word I wrote down on this card when I was thinking earlier today, what it means to be a legal aid lawyer. It really is a privilege. It's a privilege for many reasons. It's a privilege because you get to spend your life doing something you really care about. You're not just doing it to make a living. You're doing something you really care about that really matters to you. And frequently I say to my clients, I'm sat at this end of the table and you're sat at that end of the table, but I'm only too aware the roles could be reversed in the blink of an eye, and I could be sat at your end. And I take that, if there's one thing I take with me into every case, is that I could be the person who needs the help. And that's what I think, and I think that's what we all do. I mean, that's what comes across quite clearly tonight. I also, don't worry, I'm not going to go on. Yeah, no, I had a number of jokes ready, but I've been told not to tell them. Yeah, well, you know, all right, fine. Well, well, I was going to say this is my time estimate, and then I was going to breach it. I was going to say this is my last point, and then make about another 10. But you know, I'm not going to do any of that. But I'm going to, if I may, just finally, just thank some people. You know, I'd like to thank my clerks who've been of such, you know, brilliant assistance and have been a team with me. And you know, so I spent 20 years at One Pump Court. I'd like to thank Ian and Michael, who's, you know, such a brilliant part. And then when I moved to Dowd Street, I'm again brilliantly clerked by Sean and Rachel and Emily and Tim here tonight. All very willing to overlook faults and never ever betraying any sort of stress at all when things don't exactly go to plan. I'd like to thank all the solicitors who, as we all know in this profession, very often the solicitor has done the real work before the work gets to you. They've found the client, they've identified the point, they've written the correspondence, and it's only when the resolution hasn't been achieved that the case will get to a barrister. And so that teamwork is so important. So I'd like to thank all the solicitors I worked with over the years. I'd particularly like to thank Mike McIlvaney, with whom I've worked for over 20 years now. And we met one Friday evening when he was stood outside his office with a Somali family who had nowhere to go, who'd spent the previous night in a police cell, and he needed an out injunction, and he was scrabbling around trying to find someone who would do it, and I just happened to be there. And that just was pure chance, but I think we've done some quite interesting cases since that time, so thank you to Mike. And finally, I'd like to thank my family, who filled my life with love, and they've been very supportive, even though my children do from time to time say, no more talking about housing law. So thank you to all of you, and thank you very much.